This is a survey that is trying to understand how the residents of our city region experience living here. And this is a particularly important question because of we have inherited after apartheid very, very significant differences in people's lives. Apartheid made people live in different spatial areas, and different forms of disadvantage were distributed to people in those areas. So we have a legacy of race and disadvantage being strongly spatially embedded, which makes it particularly difficult to undo that and to try and address the issues of poverty and inequality in our city region. So the survey is assisting us to try and understand the extent to which we are enabling people to change the quality of their lives. This survey is very, very different from the great majority of polls that tend to come out quite frequently, which tend to test, political sentiment of one kind or another. This is a very, very detailed survey. It has about 250 questions in it, and when we go into a household and we conduct the survey there, we're very, very often sitting with the respondents for anywhere between 40 minutes and an hour, gaining an in-depth insight into a wide variety of considerations that go towards making up the quality of a person's lived experience.
So one of the things that I think is really valuable about our data is that after collection we de-identify it, we strip out all identifying information, and then we make it freely available for use by any academics, researchers, anyone wanting to use it for non-profit purposes. This means that it really gets used very widely and broadly for all sorts of purposes. Obviously, one of our primary objectives is for the data to be used by government to assist in data-driven policy development and planning, but we're really open to a huge range of other interesting things people might choose to do with our data. We're currently engaging in some work with government to try and get a better sense of exactly how it is that they work with our actual raw data, to the extent that they do this, and what we can do to make it easier for them to do this, to make it easier for them to be able to ask their own questions of the data rather than just relying on reporting. So really importantly, our respondents are representative of the adult population of Gauteng. And the reason that we can say this is because we engage in a really rigorous sampling process to make sure that the people that we do end up interviewing represent as broadly as possible everyone living in the region. So the way this works in practical terms is that we use a data set from GeoTerra Image called a building-based land use data set, which pinpoints every residential dwelling in the entire province of Gauteng. Within each ward, we then sample out a predetermined number of points, and those are the points at which our interviews need to occur.
The Quality of Life Survey is quite a flagship project for the GCRO, and it is very useful for municipalities that intend to understand what exactly has been the impact of their development programs, and using this kind of data to be able to understand what exactly is happening in their own areas of jurisdiction. I think the Quality of Life Survey is very important for Gauteng municipalities.
We are on the cutting edge of making sure that the survey results are of the highest possible quality. Now, we always have in the survey made sure that the results stand the test of various points of very heavy scrutiny. In addition to that, we're building up a quality control system that allows us to make sure that this survey is of the highest level of quality in a number of other respects, checking that the data is internally consistent, for example, all the way through. I'm not going to suggest that other surveys don't do that, but I can guarantee that we're trying to put ourselves into a position where we can claim to be a survey that stands in its company of peers as a survey that can be absolutely relied upon for the data that it provides.